Hello, friends. It has been again. I'd like to apologize for getting this posted very, very late. I'm not feeling 100% today, and I'm a little worried I might not make it to class in the morning. So if that's the case, I'll try to make some sort of arrangement about drawing sections and so forth. Sorry. Um, so the thing we're going to talk about is setting up this heat map that has to do with class schedules. And we'll have you drawing things from a hat to decide which section you actually get and stuff like that, because that'll hopefully be a little bit fun. In any case, though, with what we're doing on this, you're going to have some CSV files, which I would like for you to go ahead and open using Excel and do a little bit of what we call cleansing. They used to call it cleaning, but now I hear cleansing for data. I don't know. Let me show you what's going on with that, because you're going to want to do that, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get this assignment to go at all. All right. So for that, let me go ahead and share screen. And I am just going to dump you to the desktop. And then I am going to close. I have no idea whether Zoom will allow its own windows to appear as shared. That seems like that would, yeah, okay. Anyway, so this is the pre-cleansing version of the Excel document. All I did was to go ahead and go to Excel, tell it to open the document that I'd saved, and search out. You might have to look for the options to let it look at CSV files. I don't think you will, but it could be. So here is what the end result is going to look like. And you'll notice it's all pretty uniform. It has at the top of the columns the name of what you need to have on there. Really, to be honest, we could cut a lot of this information out, but let's try not to cut out let's not try to cut out too much information from it in case we need to go back and look at things. Okay. So going back to the pre-cleansing version, let me point out some problems that we have with it. And some of them you'll spot right away and some you will not. One thing that we have going on here is that in all these schedules, they have the CCE reserves and the first year student reserves. And that shouldn't be a problem, except when it is. So here they had 1/3, and it, for whatever reasons, turned into the 3rd of March. I would have thought that would have been 3/1. Maybe it was 3/1, but that doesn't make any sense to have 3 out of 1. Yeah, so in any case, we have these columns here for the reserves that may end up being a problem. And but because we're going to end up deleting them, and there's other things that are problems in rows, let's look at the rows first. Okay. And oh, and by the way, do not edit this as a text file. If you look at it, I've seen a lot of y'all opening CSV files as text files. Totally makes sense to do that. But with these, it's terrible, just terrible. Amongst other things, when I looked at this as a CSV file, 1 or 2 classes had their entire syllabus on here. So, all right, so notice here, for instance, we're getting a lot of white space going on. What's going on with that? Well, turns out that somebody had their learning objectives over here. No idea how those got there. but it's not important to what we're doing. Just going to delete it. Okay. So mainly the problems that we're going to run into will be addressed by scrolling through and looking for white spaces like right here. Notice chemistry 111, chemistry 231. These courses somehow got jammed down here in a different, some of the information got jammed in a different spot. How exactly, I could not tell you. And what exactly is going on with it, I also could not tell you, because it has Frank 320 full term Thursday, and then Tuesday 6 to 7:15. And when we look over here, you can see that there's a piece missing from one line, but not all of that would fit onto that line. So the thing I'm guessing, and you'll have to guess too, is that since this says Frank 320 and then says full term, it's either going to have to go there or on the previous line. So, and then this piece is going to have to go either here or here. I'll put it right here for now. Okay. And then because, yeah, here's the problem of figuring out which time goes with Tuesday and which time goes with Thursday. And we may guess wrong with this, you know. But come on, trying to get it to show me. Oh, it's not going to because of the 20 in the way. Okay, so I'm going to have to make this larger so we can see what it has. So it has 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. on Tuesday and 7:25 to 10:10 on Thursday. Now, from practical knowledge, I'm looking at that and saying, I could not imagine them having a lecture for an hour and 15 minutes and having that be after them having a lab. I would assume they would have the lab after the lecture. So I'm guessing that it is Tuesday, 6 to 7:15, and then Thursday, 7:25 to 10:10. Doesn't entirely make sense to me. I would think they would have them both on Tuesday or both on Thursday, but that's what it's kind of looking like here. All right, you'll have to make some guesses like that because we don't really have much more we can do. But when you have that broken line like that, what's going to be important is that you fill the other piece with it with the same information. So we had the enrollments, and they should be the same for both of those pieces of this section. And then they should both say full-term course. And then this piece here with the instructor and such should be in the same piece, right? And now we have these two lines here that are blank. I'm going to cut them out. Nope, I'm not going to cut them out. I'm going to delete them. Just kidding. Haha. But then you go down here and you got to do the same sort of thing with some guesswork for Chem 231 and for Chem 331. And then, ooh, what happened here? Nope, another one of those big ones for an English course. And I'm going to just take those out. And yeah. But going back here, that gets rid of the problems with the English courses. Here's one for French 315. So it looks as though we have Tuesday, Friday for something, and then Wednesday for something. So I know that the language courses have these labs. And the labs are not as long as the lecture. So and again, it's a guess, is that the Wednesday portion is the lab. Okay. And then we've got to go ahead and copy these enrollment pieces. And oops, now we don't have the room or the full term course part put over here. Gotta tell you though, seems still not real clear to me. But anyway, this is the sort of thing that we're having to do. If you were a professional data scientist, hopefully you would do a better job than what we're doing right here, because we're having to make guesswork. But it's about it's about classes that were going on in 2012. And you're not going to know things about it, and you're not probably going to be able to find too many people who do. So anyhow, you'll do that data cleansing portion of trying to get those rows fixed. When you get through with that, go to the CCE reserve and the FYS reserve columns and delete those. Further, the cross link and syllabus link, go ahead and delete those. All right. So your end result should look like this post cleansing version. Leave in term and campus, CRN, course, section, credit hours, course title, course additional information, instructional method, instructor, room, session, days, time, actual enrolled, max enrolled, unreserved, and yeah, that was unreserved available. Okay. So those would be the things that it's appropriate to leave in there. To be frank, some of those you could even cut out. Okay. But then go ahead and save those as an Excel file, because you've got packages to read Excel files. And we've seen that the CSV files can become corrupted in kind of weird ways as we're saving them. So I am going to tell it to save this. And then I'm going to go ahead and quit Excel. Yes, go ahead and save that. And it is going to kick me over to the Jupyter notebook where I did things with the heat map. If you're paying really close attention, you may see that it says heat map edited. That is going to be the version that I have posted a link to. I am going to actually talk to y'all about a little bit more with it, about how I figured out some things in order to get this to work. Okay. So we're going to look at the unedited version. I'm just going to run through and talk to you about what all the pieces were and what I ended up doing and stuff like that. So, all right. So naturally, you are going to be dealing with pandas. That's the package that we do a lot of things about data frames with. And we are going to have our data frame here using pandas read Excel method. And we have to tell it to open and the name of our file. You will have a different file. So you will have a different file name. Okay. So I always have to look up these things. And the example I saw had RB there. I've seen others where it was WB, so I assume that the R is for read, the W is for write. I don't know what the B stands for. Binary, I guess. So anyhow, you'll notice here that I also say sheet name equals because there's a particular sheet that we want to read out of that. Of course, it only has one sheet, but you know. So look at your file that you've got, make sure that you've got the right sheet name in addition to things, and then you can go ahead and read this in. I went ahead at the end of this and said DF to just get it to show me what it looks like. And the thing that happens with the printing on that is that it only gives you a limited kind of a peek at things. You get the first 5 rows of it and the last 5 rows of it. So it does not put all 633 rows on there. But you do have all the columns, so you can scroll across and see what the names of them are. On a side note, there's a column here that doesn't have a name to it that is the index column. All right. If you need to refer to a particular row, you will be referring to that as your index. Okay. We'll see that in an example here in a minute. But essentially, if I wanted to pull out of this, say this information right here, the course title, then I would say to it that I want a DF, square brackets, tick marks, course title, okay, from the top of it there, and then close my square brackets, and then start another set of square brackets and put the 0 over there, okay? So that way I've got this cross reference between the two of them. So yeah, that's your setup for how you read elements off of your data frame there. Okay. You can have higher dimensional data frames, but it's really hard to picture what's in them. Okay. All right. Somebody showed me this trick that I can double click that and hide that. But now the next thing we're going to look at is a large section of stuff where I was trying to figure out something because I was getting a weird error. So the error occurred somewhere else later in the program, but I came up here because it would be best to address it first. So I asked it to take the data frame. I should zoom that in a little. I asked it to take the data frame, group it by days, and then do counts of the various things in the days column, okay? And this is immediately a headache because there were 9 classes that met on Friday, and there were 3 classes that met on Friday, and they were somehow distinct. That doesn't make any sense. Likewise, when you come down here, 29 Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and 1 Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Ultimately, what I found out by printing them out, actually what I did was to take and print out the column of days there, and it showed me tick marks to begin and end my strings. And the tick marks then had blank spaces I could see. So since we had encountered that sort of thing previously in the, I think it was in the PDF one that we were doing, we had learned this trick that you could take the column here, DF days, and tell it to go through everything in there and replace single spaces with nothing. So just a blank. And so that seems like that should fix it. And I went ahead and did that, or I went ahead and checked this again, and that fixed everything for days. Okay. So the thing that I did here with the replace fixed the problem, I thought. And so the next bit here is that I thought we'd do the same thing for times. And I asked it to print out. And you'll notice there are two 10 o'clock to 11:15s. Worse yet, the dash in the middle has a space on either side of it. That should have gotten replaced. And I do not know why it didn't get replaced. So thrilling, right? So let me get rid of some of this stuff here. So scrolling down here. Oh yeah, here's the thing. I said summary.index, and I was able to see right here that my 10 a.m. to 11:15 has like 3 spaces on the end. But getting rid of stuff didn't work, and I don't know why. So since that didn't work, I did some Googling online, and they suggested another trick that I tried with regular expressions. Also didn't work. So I tried this new thing here, which is called strip. It strips blank spaces from either end of a string. And when I did that, when I did that with something that I knew would have the spaces on the end, I was able to have it print the stuff in the summary index, print out each one of them, and then its length, and then the length of what would happen if you stripped it. And I saw that the 10 to 11:15, the second entry there, had a length of 20 and then a length of 17. So that told me that strip was going to actually pull things out. However, when I tried the strip on the whole column, it wouldn't do it. So it wasn't just that it didn't work, it refused to even try. So the way that I had to tackle that was in the function that I'm going to have to deal with the time ranges and the day ranges. I just put the strip in there and made it do it that way. So when we come to that, I'll make sure and point that out. Okay. But now, the next thing that I'm doing here, and you'll have to be doing as well, is that I've got the DF, and I'm going to throw out anything that has TBA, to be announced, for either days or times. I tried to do that in a single statement with saying to throw out anything that was TBA on either one of those, but for some reason I couldn't get the logic of that to work, so I just did it as 2 separate lines. So once I got down to that, then I broke it out into the first half of the semester courses, and second half of the semester courses, and then the full semester courses. Okay. And then I did things with that. I'm actually going to only look through doing the full semester course and, give the implication that we can do it for the first half and second halves. Okay. It might actually be good to take and add first half plus the full semester courses before putting things into the heat map to see what's going on in the first half of the semester, and then similarly for the second half. You see what I'm getting at with that? Because you're going to have courses that are in one half or the other half, but they still take up a room. So you kind of need to see the two together. So, well, anyway, though, I went ahead and typed full here to get that full semester. And as before, it cut things down. But the one thing you need to spot here is that from 4 to 6, it skipped 5. So what's going on with that is that the 5th line that we had on this actually turns out to be something that's in the first half of the semester. Okay. And so that got cut out when we were doing the full. So, yeah. Also, the 0 got cut out here. It's not just that we default to starting with 1 or something. The 0 was a study abroad course, and that was something that where the times were TBA. So what we're looking at on this is to figure out when we have more courses actually running at the same time, or when there are more students in class. Okay. All right. So anyway, I printed that out so I could look at things. Notice here where it says NaN for not a number, it does that when there are blank spaces. So, all right. So now we get to kind of the guts of this. I'm going to need to set up a data frame that has days and times on it. For the days, it is Monday through Saturday. The full semester courses, it looks like there's no Saturday full semester courses. Those are just first half or second half. Okay. But we're going to have the days be, those days of the week. And then the times start out with a blank list, an empty list. And then we're going to have to do a range of times, and we're going from 8 to 23. There are no classes lasting past 10:10 in this group, but there is something that goes till 10:10. So we have to go up until 10 o'clock, which is 2,200 hours, right? We're going to do this in a 24-hour format because it's just easier. And so we're doing this range from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., 2,300 hours. But remember, it won't get to 23. It'll just get right up to it, to 22. And then we're doing a range 0 to 60 in steps of 5 for the minutes, remembering it won't get the 60, but it'll go 0 to 55. Then we're appending in here times in the format of the hour with 2 digits and the minutes with 2 digits. That prevents it from saying things like 8:5 instead of 0805. Okay. And then as a last there, I was getting some errors when I did not have 2,300 hours in there. Turned out to not be a concern at the end. So if you leave that off, it totally makes sense. Okay. But I appended the 2,300 in there. And that meant for me, this that says 180 should actually say 181. Okay. Because I appended the 2,300 on there. So the thing I'm going to do is to have a data frame that counts the number of sections, and then another data frame that counts the number of students that are currently in class. So I went ahead and said pandas data frame, make the column names be the days and the index along the sides to be the times. And then go ahead and print that out so we can see that it's going down there and stuff. So hopefully that helps you see what's going on. Because there's no values in there yet, it's going to label them as NaN for not a number. But the next step that we do is to just populate the data frame with zeros. I suppose I could have done this a different way, but I ran into some problems at some points when I tried to assign a value directly into a data frame. So the way I got around it here was that I went ahead and said for column in full sections. And what it will do is to go across the list of column names and pull each one out. And so I said full sections of columns to be a bunch of zeros that matched the length that we had here. Okay. And then when I printed it out, you can see that it's going to be a bunch of zeros. So then I have an error here. Okay, this full students equals full sections. That just creates the data frame full semester students and makes it all zeros, all in one step. Okay. You don't want to do that with first half and second half because they will not have, nope, I'm wrong about that. You could go ahead and do that for first half and second half here. So, because this is not the number of entries, this is the days and times. Okay. So, and yeah, and so you can just read that across there. Full students, first students up. I did not say first sections. So first sections, second sections. Okay. So I need to correct the edited version later, but you don't need to watch me do that. Okay. But so this is creating all these zeros where it's going to count things for us. All right. Then I have a function here I wrote, and you're just going to go ahead and use it, but it would be good for you to see how it works. So we know that we're going to be getting these time ranges like 8:10 to 10:10, and I want you to break it up into 5-minute increments. The reason for this is that you will have classes that have some overlapping times for some of these things. The new schedule that we've got starting in fall doesn't have that problem, but the old schedule, any schedule that sits around for a while, people just start ignoring the rules and putting things wherever they want. So we're getting times that look like that. We're wanting to break them into 5-minute increments. And so what I did here was to say, let's take the time that's incoming and strip it. We're going to take all of those spaces off at the end. And then we're going to go ahead and take that and split it on the dash in the middle. So that means that you'll get the start time and the stop time as the two pieces there. And then for the start, we're going to cut off the last two letters of it and call that AM PM because it'll either be AM or PM. And then our start hour is going to be take start and split it on the colon, and then take the first thing on that. Okay. I probably could have made this more efficient by saying start hour, comma, start minutes and not do that, but didn't think of it until now. But in any case, though, you're going to want to tell it to deal with it as an integer for the next thing that pops up here. Because the next thing that pops up here is that we need to add 12 to anything after in the afternoon. So 1 o'clock becomes 1,300 hours, 2 o'clock becomes 1,400 hours, that sort of thing, right? And the condition we need for that is if AM PM is PM and the start hour is less than 12, because we don't want it to do anything to the 12 o'clock hour. Okay. So those are the two things that both have to be true. So we just put an and between them. If that happens, we're going to add 12 to the start hour. Okay. And then for the start minutes, we'll just take start, the part, blah, start. Yeah. Anyway, this should break that out there. You are splitting stuff. But why are we splitting on that piece? Oh, right. Sorry. We're taking start, we're cutting the last two pieces off of it. Then we were splitting it on that colon and taking the second piece. Like I said, you could have done this more efficiently than what I did. Okay. Do the same thing for the stop time. And then we'll start with a time list. And this time list is going to hold the beginnings of the 5-minute blocks. So what we'll do is to run from the start hour to the stop hour, but not include the stop hour. Okay, we'll have to handle that separately. And we will start with our minutes being 0. Okay. And if we are in the start hour, then we'll change the minutes to the start minutes. Okay. If we're not in the start hour, we don't want to bother with that. We want to get the whole hour. But if we're in the start hour, we want to start at the time that the class starts. Okay. So like if the class starts at 8:10, you don't want to include 8:05 or 8 o'clock. Then we'll go through here and say for J, in the range from that minute or minimum up to 60 in 5-minute increments. Or for our time list, stick into it a formatted I for the hour and J for the minute with 2 digits in them and a colon between it, right? And then finally, we'll say for J in the range from 0 up to stop minutes in increments of 5. Onto the time list, append our stop hour and then the minute that we have, and to just run up to. So if you've got a class ending at 11:15, it will go through and hit the 11 o'clock, the 11:05, and the 11:10, and then stop. Okay, it won't actually put the 11:15 in there. Okay, and then finally to go ahead and return this list, and so it will list out each of the 5-minute increments that class is taking place in. Okay. All right. So anyway, this was a cell where I tested and tried to figure out how to make that go. And there was quite a bit of testing to make that work. Okay. But yeah. Anyway, if you want to take a look at that, that may give you an idea of what my thought process was in trying to get this to work out. But it should work now. I've tested it and gotten the HeatMap to actually work. So please don't be under the impression that I did that in 5 minutes. There was a lot of cursing involved. So, okay. And then here, the process for doing days is pretty much the same. Is pretty much, now it's not pretty much the same. It is much simpler. For the days, we will pass the argument days to the function, and then I will take that and strip any spaces on the ends, and then I'll start a day list that's empty, and then I'm just going to go through days and pull each letter in it, because we're always getting blocks like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. There's never any spaces in the middle of those. But it's just going to run through those letters and append them into these lists, and you'll get a list that'll say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, nothing else. So that's what we're looking to do here. Okay. All right. Then we're actually getting to the guts of using those things. So on this one here, I know we've already imported NumPy, but I think it's a good idea to import something in every cell you use it in, just in case you run things out of order. Okay. So here I'm saying for the columns in the full sections data frame. So I'm going to take each column in turn and say, oh, I didn't need to do this, did I? The reason that this is in here is because I had to run things more than once, and I didn't want to double up on stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out. No. I'm going to take it out of the edited version, right? Which I need to go back and do. But it's going to go, we're going to come through here and say for I in the full index. And so we are running through the full data frame. And so you've got the list of whatever the indices are for that. And we are going to say TR for time range. We're going to pass to that function of the time range whatever the time is from full of this particular row that we're on. Okay. And for day range, we're going to pass full days for that. And so say this was a Monday, Wednesday class that met from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Then this would get a range of times from 11, 11:05, 11:10, blah, 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 up to 11:55. And it would get a range of days that would be, what did I say, Monday, Wednesday, just Monday and Wednesday. Okay. Then once it's got those, we're going to do a neat little for loop thing here. So for each time in the time range and for each day in the day range, we're going to go to full sections, and that day and that time, which starts as a 0, we're going to add 1 to. Okay. All this is going to do is to count the number of sections that happen to be at that particular time. Okay. And then I went ahead and I needed it to print out so I could really see all the stuff to make sure it was looking right. And so this is a hack that I found somewhere of dealing with the option context and to display the maximum number of rows. So when you look down through here and just kind of scroll through it, you'll see that there are no classes meeting before 8:30. Makes sense. But I think there must be some earlier classes for some semesters, because I've run onto 8:05 as a class time. So anyhow, yeah, scrolling through there, it looks basically like there's a lot of classes in the mornings, but that the afternoons, nope, shouldn't say that. There's some classes in that early morning time, but here from 10 o'clock to 11:15 is where the really heavy amount of classes are happening. And there are less classes from 11:15 to 11:30, but then you had quite a few in here from 11:30 to 12:45, and then not very many for a while, and then a lot of classes from 1 o'clock to 2:15. And yeah, so none of these seem like too much of a surprise. Although y'all might be a little surprised to see Wednesday afternoons. There was a time when there was only one class that met on Wednesday afternoons. That class would be the early college seminar. So, uh, um, leafing through, there are classes apparently going all the way up until 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, so that seems crazy, but that's the way we were doing it then. So anyway, closing that down, and you'll notice here that I have another cell that has almost exactly the same thing, but it is doing the plus equal for the actual enrolled for the students as opposed to doing it for the sections. Now, if you've programmed before, you probably would want to just include this line here in the previous loop. When I did that, I ran into a weird error and I couldn't deduce why it was. So eventually I gave up and just separated it into two cells. So once I've got all that, then I went poking around and found out that you can do heat maps directly from a data frame. You don't have to do anything more sophisticated with it. You can come in here and say, I want to deal with numpy stuff. I don't see any numpy stuff in here, right? So I think that's actually not necessary, but it was in the example that I was stealing from. But you'll need to deal with a data frame. We've already imported that elsewhere, so that's not really a concern. But here we're going to import Seaborn. Seaborn is a package that does a lot of dealing with data frame stuff in some fairly nice ways. That Seaborn could be this whole class. Really, we could have just spent the whole time talking about Seaborn. This line here, though, about matplotlib inline, I do not know what that's doing because I don't see that we have matplotlib coming up anywhere. So anyway, we tell it SNS set figure size, this 8 by 10. I was just getting the sizes not to be very nice until I messed with them a little bit. And this color palette is something that you can set. I set it to magma. You might want to try some of these others. And you might also want to Google and see if you can find some different color palettes for heat maps. Yeah. But once I got those set, I just said Seaborn heat map and passed it my data frame. Okay. I wanted to have annotation set to false. Originally, I had it set to true, and it was putting the numbers onto the plot. And because we have it broken up into 5-minute intervals, it made it unreadable. So I just set annotations to false. So the plot that I got looks like this. Okay. Out to the side, it shows us our scale. 0 is the dark black, and then the smaller numbers are going to be dark purple, and it shades up until it gets very light, up around 60. 60 was, I think 57 actually was the maximum. So you can see that essentially Monday, Wednesday at 10 o'clock is where we've got the maximum number of classes meeting. Okay. And also notice nothing before 8:30 and almost nothing in those breaks in between, and nothing here on Wednesday afternoon. And we also had a break here from, what would that be? 7:20 to 8 o'clock. There was a pretty good sized break there. And nothing on Friday evenings, right? The darker colors are the areas where we're not having many classes being offered. So it looks like Monday and Wednesday afternoons, not so much. And well, nothing Wednesday afternoon, but not much on Wednesday evening even. So this sort of tool will help somebody who's doing some schedule planning to see what times people like to schedule classes. And then if you do it for the students as opposed to the sections, that'll tell you what time people like to take classes, which is not the same. Because the teachers plan when the sections are, the students are either, signing up for it or not. Anyway, that's what's going on with that. I didn't go ahead and do the first half and second half of the semester. You should, okay? But you've got the process going there, all right? Ask me questions about it. Like I said, I'm not feeling great, so I might not make it to class tomorrow. If I don't make it to class, then I don't know, maybe I'll sit here with Zoom on or something like that. That's my best guess. All right. Okie dokie. I will hopefully see you all tomorrow morning.